Assalamualaikum. Welcome back to our lesson Form 4, Chapter 5, Genetics, Part 2. Look at the mirror. Do you yourself inherit certain characteristics of your father or mother? Has anyone ever told you that your face is exactly the same as your mom's? Have you ever had such an experience? This is what we call as inheritance, the transmission of certain characteristics from the parents to the children. Look at the features on Adam's face. From whom are these characteristics inherited? His type of hair and the shape of his eyes, ears, nose, face, and lips can be inherited by Adam, both from his parents and grandparents. The shape of Adam's ears were inherited from his father. His hair type and the shape of his eyes were inherited from his mother. His face resembled his mother's face too. Meanwhile, Adam inherited the shape of his grandfather's nose and at the same time inherited the shape of his grandmother's lips. In Genetics Part 1 video, you have learned that genes are the basic units of inheritance found in chromosomes. Genes control certain characteristics in humans. These characteristics are passed down through genes from one generation to the other generation. Allele is a pair of genes at the same locus or position in the homologous chromosome which control one trait of the organism. Trait is the specific characteristics that differentiate individuals. For example, the color of the iris, whether black, brown, or blue in color. A child inherits two copies of the genes, one gene from his father and another gene from his mother. There are two types of allele, a dominant allele and a recessive allele. From this diagram, we can see that there are four types of allele. There are allele A, allele B, allele C, and allele D. Each allele controls different traits. For example, allele A controls the color of the eyes. Allele B controls the type of blood. Allele C controls the color of the hair. And finally, allele D controls the type of hair. A dominant allele is written in capital letter, meanwhile a recessive allele is written in small letter. Here are some examples of dominant traits and recessive traits. Dominant traits are more likely to be inherited compared to recessive traits. Most of the time, the dominant character is frequently found in the population than the recessive character. Can you identify Which part of your face belongs to dominant trait and recessive trait? Please try. It is fun. Genotype is the genetic information in an organism. Every one of us carries parental genotype such as capital T, capital T, capital T with small t, or both small t's for height. In this slide, the father carries the genotype of both capital T's. Meanwhile, the mother carries the genotype of capital T and small t. Phenotype is the physical characteristics shown in an organism. The father, who carries the genotype capital T, are both the dominant allele. So the father is tall. How about the mother? The mother carries the genotype of capital T and small t. Capital T is the dominant allele, meanwhile small t is the recessive allele. When dominant allele capital T is coupled with a small t, a recessive allele, then a dominant trait will be shown. So the mother is also tall. Since both of the father and the mother are tall, what is the expected height inherited by their son, tall or short? To answer this, let's draw the schematic diagram of the inheritance for height. First, write down the genotype for both of the father and the mother side by side. Then we draw 4 arrows below. Then we write the capital T downwards, and capital T and small t below the mother's genotype. Then we do the combination. The first capital T from the father combined with the first capital T from the mother. We will get the first genotype as capital T's. Next, combination between the first capital T from the father with the second small t from the mother, producing capital T and small t for the genotype of the child. Now we do the same process to the second capital T from the father combined with the first capital T from the mother, producing both capital T's. Finally, the second capital T from the father combines with the second small t from the mother, producing capital T and small t for the genotype of the child. Therefore, the chances of getting a tall child is 100%. For the second family, the father has the genotype of capital T and small t. The mother carries the genotype of both small t's. So, what is the height inherited by their son, tall or short? Again, we have to draw the schematic diagram of the inheritance for height. Write down the father's genotype and the mother's genotype. Draw all the 4 arrows below. Take out all the alleles. Then do the combination like usual. The capital T from the father combines with the first small t from the mother. The capital T from the father combines with the second small t from the mother. Thirdly, the small t from the father combines with the first small t from the mother. And finally, the combination of the small t from the father with the second small t from the mother. So we can get tall and short in the same ratio. The chances of getting tall and short child is 50%. In this example, the recessive characteristics are shown when both alleles are recessive. Small t coupled with small t will give a short child. What are the chances of getting a male or a female offspring at every pregnancy? We have learned that a father and a mother have 46 chromosomes, each which are made up of 44 autosomes and 2 sex chromosomes. The father has two types of sex chromosomes, X and Y. The mother has only two X chromosomes. After meiosis, the sperm has only half the number of its parents' chromosomes, 22 plus X or 22 plus Y. The ovum will also have half the number of its parents' chromosomes, that is 22 plus X for twice. The gender of a child depends on the type of sperm that fertilizes the ovum. If the sperm 22 plus X fertilizes the ovum 22 plus X, the gender of the child formed is a female, 44 plus XX. Meanwhile, if the sperm 22 plus Y fertilizes the ovum 22 plus X, a male child will be born with 44 plus XY. Therefore, the chances of getting a baby boy or a baby girl at every pregnancy is equal, which is 50%.